Hey everyone, welcome. This is Morgan Lynn, and this is Ask Me Anything, August 2019. I am super excited to be back with you. If you noticed, I was not here last month. I took the month off. I had some pretty amazing things going on, and I just couldn't quite fit it in all the awesomeness. And so what that entails is I had two amazing empath workshops, one here in Boise and one in Dallas, Texas. And it's through those workshops that I'm really starting to understand exactly who I am in this world and what I'm standing for. And so I'm so excited that out of those two events, I have learned so much, not only about myself, but through the experiences of the participants and just how amazing they show up and how vulnerable they are in that work. It is starting to already expand. I'm already growing. It's already starting to reach its fullness in just being in those 2 days. So a little baby semi-awesome teaser announcement is for 2020, that 2-day event is now expanding into a 2.5-day event. And I'm taking it to 2 extra cities. It's going to be in Boise, Idaho and Dallas, Texas, but I'm also taking it into Tacoma, Washington and Denver, Colorado. So huge things going on with my business for this next year. I am super excited to be able to meet some new people and start like just really building this empath army that I keep talking about and expanding it and growing it and reach more people. I truly believe this is the time for us empaths to rally, to gather, to be in this, to be in the world, right? Like I've said it over and over again, we really do like to hide. We like to be in our space. We like to be in our little snail shell, which is perfect. Have that downtime, have that sacredness, that sanctuary. But there's also something that we're missing by not being a part of what the world is going through right now. And so I'm just really honored and excited to be able to expand that and bring it to other cities, other places. So if you want to keep up on that, like this page, I share the events on this Embrace Within page, but I'm also putting the dates on my website, theempoweredempath.info. So you can check those places to keep up on it and be looking for more exciting announcements as those plans begin to firm up and have a little bit more context to that. So I just need a minute. I seriously need a minute. It feels, I don't know about you, but this time in our lives feels big. Feels stretchy. It feels like not in a way that I feel like we're stretching beyond our capacity, but we are stretching, we are growing, and we are expanding into the space that I actually believe we were born to be. And I think that humanity has this way of staying comfortable. It's part of our survival downloads, our mechanisms to be able to survive as an organism. It's that a small target is hard to hit mentality. And I think that we stay small far too long and we get used to it, so that when anything amazing happens or anything big starts to like move us away from that comfort zone, we haven't been given the space to really be excited about that, to play with that. And so I'm stretching and I have to breathe a lot, and I'm noticing that the people around me, my clients and friends and such, are experiencing that too. So if you are having that, you're not alone. We're all going through that right now. So let's just take a moment and take a breath and settle into the body. I had the amazing honor of attending an intensive weekend for advanced speaker training. And it's exactly what you might think it would be. We spent 3 days on stage being excruciatingly vulnerable in front of the people we're working with, where you just kind of let your guts out and you're held, and it's this safe container. It's just a really beautiful space. And I don't think I'm the same person since I walked away from that weekend. I definitely feel it. My husband's been commenting on it. Something's changed. And I think if I narrow it down to one moment, there was an exercise we did where we had 1 minute. And the assignment was to feel the audience feeling you. Not just feel the audience, but to feel them feel me. And I had an amazing epiphany in that moment, because I realized as an empath, I feel all the time. I am feeling people all the time. But in that moment, I realized I'm only feeling them to the level of survival. I'm only feeling enough to be able to navigate the situation. I'm not really letting them in. I'm not really experiencing them experiencing me. And I had a full-on breakdown in that moment. I shook and cried, and like my body was convulsing, because I realized, like even now as I touch it, I can feel the emotion. True vulnerability is the strength in us, the willingness to let people in, the willingness to feel them, just allowing that. And I think in our minds, again, we have equated that to be dangerous, whether you're empathic or not. We have equated vulnerability to weakness and danger. And what was amazing was not only did I feel the support, I felt the love, I felt the, oh my God, she's doing it. I also felt the judgment. I also felt some not understanding why I was doing what I was doing. So I allowed all of that to come in, and I experienced every single drop of it. And what I got in that moment is I survived. I made it. I lived. It was 2 minutes. I took an extra minute, long story. But I spent 2 minutes feeling people feel me, and I still walked away alive. That changed the game for me completely, because now I'm understanding that I can experience someone's judgment, and I can experience someone's rejection, even their anger and their hatred towards me. I don't have to spend all my energy pushing that away. I don't have to build these barriers and just think about all the energy of formulating the shield that we live behind. How much energy that takes, how much focus and decisiveness, that you have decided that you are not safe. And I didn't know it until that point, that I had lived my whole life that way. And it was explained to us by our mentor that we live in the front of our body because we're in the shielding of it. We're in the, I'm ready. I'm going to fight if I need to fight, and I'm going to not trust you, and I'm not going to let you in until you prove it. So we live energetically in the front of our body, which makes sense too for empaths, because this is our vulnerable place, right? I need to be on so that I can't let you hurt me. And so what we learned is how to sit back in our body, how to take a breath and sit backwards. Yes, it exposes this soft, fleshy part of us, but it's also not necessarily dangerous. We are going to be able to walk away and feel how people feel about us. And we don't have to extend that much energy into the safety and that shielding and that masquerade that we do, right? So I am playing with that, and I offer it to you as always as an invitation, as a place for you to see where maybe you're doing that or not doing that. Like, awesome, yeah, you, like, awesome. But if you notice that you're leaning into your energy when you don't need to, where can you pull back and just take a breath and relax and receive? So this is Ask Me Anything, you guys. This is the place where we have curiosities and queries and wonderments. And it's not necessarily a psychic, intuitive guidance place to ask questions, but it is a place where I want to offer laser coaching. And if you have a situation in life and you're not having it with clarity, you're not seeing beyond your blinders, what are your questions? Where are you curious in life? Like, what's on your heart? And let's get into a discussion. I already see so many people in. Thank you so much for coming. I don't know that I can say hi to everyone. I'm just going to say hi to everyone. So Susan Lee's asking me how my full moon was. I'm going to be really honest. My full moon has been very bumpy and very wavy, as I'm sure everyone feels a little bit of the pull in the moon energy. I try to breathe and I try to ride it, and I try just kind of, I'm trying to decide how vulnerable and honest I'm going to be with you, to be just to be clear. I'm on my cycle. I start my cycle on the full moon, so it gets bumpy in our household, and I love my husband so much because he's so beautifully gentle and delicate and supportive with me that I get to be a mess in these next couple days because that's where I am, and it's okay. And yeah, that's my full moon, and everyone will have their own experience with that. But it's really a beautiful, blessed, sacred time for me. But I'm not in the best mood, so yeah. Hello, Miss Nikki. I see you. Hi, lovely. So, what are your questions? Where are you today? And it can be anything, anywhere in the spiritual realm. It can be anything in the paranormal. It can be anything relationship-wise, because we're also in these bumpy times. Our families get bumpy, right? Our relationships, our friendships, our coworkers, our work environments, they get bumpy too. So everything that I stand for is in the support of having the self-awareness of how to navigate through those situations. So that's what we're here for. So where are your questions? I'm just going to start singing like usual because that's how awesome this is. Hello, Miss Carrie, Cindy, Kayla, Fran, Veronica, Nikki, Michelle, Anya, Jen, my husband, Colleen. I love you guys. Hello, Pam. Well, I'm just going to ramble until we have some conversations formulating, because another little thing that I've been noticing lately is for those of you that have clients or do readings, or even the massage people and the healer people, have you noticed when you have patterns of clients? That's one of my very favorite games, is when I have multiple conversations in a row, but they have their own individual context, of course, like the guidance and the support is individual for them, but the topic is the same. Have you noticed that? I have been noticing a big movement, a big shift in people's realities of what it means to really have the conviction for self, and where we're needing to let go of the validation seeking. Now, the beauty of the validation is that it is so lovely when it's there. Of course, we want people to get it. We want people to love the things we're doing, the things we're saying, the things we're believing, of course. Like, validation is a beautiful tool. But how much of us actually seek it? And if we don't get it, we question our conviction. I know that I've done that in my life. I know that I lived in this, I have this idea, do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? And I would take almost a percentage. If more liked it than not liked it, then I felt like I was okay. I felt like, okay, that's a good idea. This is a good thing. If more people didn't like it, I'm like, oh, then maybe I am wrong. Maybe I need to not do that, or believe that, or think that. So I don't know who this is in the throat chakra area, but take a nice, big, deep breath right there. Validation is so lovely, but it should be the bonus. It shouldn't be the reason. And we get so lost when that's all we're doing is seeking the validation. And I used to work on conviction a few years ago, and I had kind of a mantra thing that I would work with, and that would be, can you believe, bring it back to me, I'm so sorry, my brain is fuzzy around the moon. Can you believe in yourself so much? Can you have the strength and the conviction in self so set that when someone doesn't believe it, get it, agree with it, it doesn't shake you? And so what I've learned on that quest of that question is, what does it mean to be in alignment? What does it mean to know that you are in alignment with your highest good? And everyone else will have what they believe with that. They'll have their own opinion, their own say, their own judgments, their own acceptance or rejection. But can you stand in it so clearly that you don't waver when someone disagrees with you? I used to play a game where I would notice how convicted I was when I was in a group of people that got me, that knew what I did, that understood like my business, my work, how convicted I was and how on and awesome and everything was flowing. It was so great. But then I would play the game, but can I be that same conviction in a room full of people that don't get me? Where do I sell out? Where do I water it down? Where do I go into prostitute mode because I don't want their rejection or I don't want their criticism? So I used to play that game. I want to see if I can do that. Can I be that in as convicted in a new agey workshop, spiritual, crystal loving people? Can I be that in a room full of professional CEO, the business kind of world, or the attorneys, or what, you know what I mean, right? The people that are not your people. Can you be the same? And that really showed me where my alignment was and where it wasn't. So just a little fun game to play with. Miss Kayla says, so the other night I was falling asleep and I saw the purple blue path and I felt safe and I didn't know whether to follow it. What is it meaning? I have no idea. I'm going to be super honest with you. It sounds cool. My answer would be, how did it feel when you saw it? Right? As we talk about alignment, that's the thing to remember. When you see something and your first reaction might be, oh my God, what is this? But then when you kind of lean into it and you're like, oh, I'm okay. It isn't a wrong thing, a warning or something that you need to worry about. We need to know the difference between danger and perceived danger, right? Because there's the warning systems that are like, no, you get that instant no. But sometimes our no is spoken from the shadow ego that just wants you to stay safe, stay small, don't take risk. So part of our wisdom, part of our mastery of being a human is being able to decipher the difference. So I would say go for it if you felt curious and tempted in an exciting, adventurous kind of way. So play with that and see what it means. You could also go in meditation and ask your guides. You could ask them for a little bit more feedback, a little bit more information to see. What I'll do with my guides is, okay, I kind of get what you're doing, but I don't quite understand. Can you bring me another clue, another message? Can you expand on that? And they're happy to. So you don't have to always have all the answers. That's what your team is there for. So reach out to them and ask them. They're lovely that way. Yeah. Cindy says, I see a lot of patterns everywhere. Yeah. Patterns are one of my favorite things because it's not that, like, I know sometimes when we have the heavy patterns, the repeating patterns that feel like they're just beating us down and we can't figure it out, we can't get it right. I know that sometimes we internalize that or victimize self because we're not getting something, we're not getting the right answer. But I really liken it to, there is a wisdom within us that is calling it forth, because there's just still more. There's a little bit more information to get from that situation. And we may have missed it in the first time, the first chance. And so then we'll draw it in again. And it's the wisdom within us, our call it different things, right? Our soul, our higher self, our spirit, whatever. It's the part of us that knows something that our human self doesn't. So it'll draw it in again. The tendency is to get frustrated about that and be mad at self because we keep repeating these things. But can you expand a little bit more in the curiosity? And this is just to everyone. I know, Cindy, you get this conversation. I know you. But can you be curious about, like, there it is again. That's interesting. I wonder what I'm missing. I wonder what I'm not seeing. I wonder if there's something I need to get from this so that I can move on to the next step. When we're in the question, you guys, I'm sure, have heard me talk about this. When we're in the question, when we're in that I wonder energy, our energy will actually open and we'll receive the answer. But when we're in the question of why does this keep happening to me, and why, and why, and why, that will close us down because we're in victim mode, we're in protection mode. So your questions matter, the tone matters, your willingness matters, and then you'll start to understand the patterns and what they're really trying to show you. She says, Cindy says, you can log into Facebook and see that people don't even know each other are posting the same things but worded differently. Oh my God, that is so hilarious because that has been happening to me lately. 3, 4 posts in a row are like boundaries, 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 boundaries. And I'm like, how are my boundaries? What do I need to see? What am I looking at? Like, that's what I mean by the patterns. It doesn't always, like, the message doesn't always have anything to do with you directly, but it's in your field of vision. And so something bigger is happening for you. Yeah. She also says, I think when we let go of the need of validation, that we actually receive it more often. Correct. I have a problem with knowing what people are feeling before they know, and have a tendency to push them to know. Ah, yes, you're getting in their business. Yeah. Haley's my cousin, so yeah, that we can go there, right? We're right there. Yeah, it's we see it for them and we want them to see it, but they're not ready to see it. It's none of our business. That's a hard place to be in. I have that a lot with being a coach and just kind of being in that. I can see human nature, and I can see, you know, I'm not reading people, but I can see the behaviors and the reactions and the resistance and all that, right? So it's none of my business unless they are asking me. This is kind of my caveat. Unless they're asking me, unless they've hired me, or their energy is now hurting me, I can't say anything. It isn't any of my business. And my guys are pretty hard on me. They'll actually say to me, who do you think you are, thinking you know best? And I'm like, oh, got it. They'll whip my ass on it because I got to get that in check. It's none of my business. So I don't know if that helps you. It helps kind of recenter me when I'm getting in people's, you know, I call it when I'm getting into their backyard. They're gardening, but I don't think they should put those flowers in that direct sun. And so I jump over the fence, hip check them, and then plant their garden for them. None of my business. I need to stay in my own backyard. And then if they ask, yeah, hey, did you know that those plants don't need direct sunlight? I think maybe they'd be better over here, blah, 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 right? But yeah, there is that. Cindy says we can love people but not always agree with everything in their life, and I think that is okay. Oh my God, it should be that way. It's none of my business. It isn't anybody's business. Just flip that around. Just as what I'm doing is nobody's business. I don't want people telling me what I should be, shouldn't be, how I should, how I shouldn't. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes being told who they should be. We just don't like that, even to the extent of if I know they're right. I don't want to hear it unless I've asked. This is just kind of who we are. So I always try to do the whole flip it around. Would I want that person to come over to me and say, hey, by the way, you're planting those things wrong? You should be doing it the other way. I would be all like, all right, bitch, thanks so much. And then I would do it anyway. And then they would die. And then I'd be like, dang it, the shit was right. Right? Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. Hey, Jen. Hey, girl. I'm going through a massive expansion. One I have been working to have. I realize I am nervous about I'm nervous about how big this next step is going to be. So much so that I've confused my manifesting advice. Yes. Don't we also fear the success as much as we fear the failure? Isn't that an interesting phenomenon that humans do? When we actually start getting it right, It's the oh shit factor. Oh my God, it's actually happening. And then we feel the immensity of the responsibility of making sure that we don't screw it up. Like there's some of that. And then there's also some psyche work in there of, well, I don't know who I'm going to be after this happens. I don't know how my family are going to like look at me. I don't know if my friends will like me. Like it's sometimes, most of the time, subconscious fears because we're afraid of the change, of what it's going to do to us when we complete that part of the journey. When I get like that, I'll just like, I can actually feel how heavy you're holding it. So when I get like that, I get back to my basics. Okay. I ground, I center, I breathe, I get into the embodiment. I try to remember my space. And then I go into kind of some affirmational kind of questions, like, how am I doing? Is this my alignment? Am I still on track? Like more of like the growth questions, not what's happening to me and why, and none of that, but just a check-in, an alignment check-in. Am I still good? Am I still doing this? Sometimes doing nothing is important. When we're manifesting, when we're actually getting it, sometimes letting it simmer a little bit so that you can take a breath and just check in and recenter and realign, then get going again. So I hope that helps. It helps me every single time. Because there's also that momentum and that, oh my God, it's happening and we're so crazy and we're so like, and then it feels like the roller coaster gets faster because now like, oh my God, we're doing it. Oh shit, we're doing it. Take a breath, take a moment, review where you've been, review where you'd like to go, and just kind of have a moment in the center of, okay, I'm doing okay, or make some minor adjustments of things that aren't working. But being able to give yourself that pause and permission to pause, let's look at it like that, to be able to take a breath and just reassess everything and then move forward. And that really helps me sometimes. So I hope that helps you. Kayla follows up with, I've been curious about it and I think I've blocked from my guides. Yeah. So Sweetie Pie, what I'd really offer you is to get some support with that. Take some classes, read up on energetic connection with your guidance team, practice your intuition. Like there's no one answer. I can't just say, oh, do this and you're ta-da, it's all fixed. No, it doesn't work like that, because we're all intuitive, but we all have our own reasons why we're afraid of it. And we all have our own magic in that intuition. We're all different. So there's no cookie cutter answer, but it is going to be founded in your safety and your security. So start grounding. It's also going to be in your connection with your source energy. That's going to be centering. And then it's also going to be cultivating a trust within yourself so that you can start trusting your guides. So it's a journey, right? It's not a bing, bang, boom, you're fixed and you're perfect and everything's okay. There's a journey in there to find out what you're afraid of. What are you really afraid of in the intuitive world? And you have to figure that one out, right? If that feels too big, reach out. I do work like that with people. There's lots of people that do that. I know that you're in the Boise area. Open up the Hedra. Find somebody that can be your guide through that process, because that to me actually makes a big difference. We all need support. Coaches need coaches, healers need healers, teachers need teachers. So no one knows it all. No one can see it all. Let's see, do we have questions? Oh, did I miss one?
No.
No, you.
I did a watch party in our group and she asked a question.
Well, how beautiful of you. My husband's here. He's being my support system. Oh, hey, Vonda. It's okay if you can't stay and watch. That's the lovely thing of being recorded.
So Jen did have that question for you.
Oh, well, that's why. Okay.
That's a real question.
Thank you. Jen asks, when you are around toxic people and you feel yourself turning toxic, how do you stop yourself from being toxic? You leave them the fuck alone. And seen. Get out. Get away as best as you can, okay? Because I don't know that these people are toxic and I don't know why I'm feeling this way. Nah, okay. But when you know these people are toxic and you're in it, find ways to get out of it. Like, get your escape system. Like, what's your escape route? And I know I can already hear you say, yeah, but this, yeah, but this, yeah, but this. I get it. Start on your escape route. What is your, like, where are your doors? Get your exits, get the heck out, because it's not ever going to change unless you change. So wherever you're feeling like, well, the obligations and the responsibilities and I have to and this, you have walked yourself into a really good excuse to take the shit. So let's just not do that. Let's figure out a way we can get you out. All right? So where are your escapes, your exit points? All right. Hello, Miss Ronnie. Hi, lovely. Haley follows up with, sometimes doing nothing is important. Oh, this resonates with me so much. Yeah. Sometimes doing nothing is important. Like, think about how freaking hard we work on our lives. Sometimes we just need a break. And then what I found is when I do nothing, sometimes it has the space to work itself out. I don't have to have all the answers. I don't need to know everything. And I certainly don't need to force everything in place in the way that I think it needs to be in place. Let's just all take a breath right there. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that just such a beautiful space of nothingness? I'm gonna take a drink. Shut up. I don't usually have my husband sitting right here making faces at me the whole time.
Got another question from the watch party.
Awesome.
I posted it in there for you.
You are so lovely. I love how you're doing this. All the questions. Okay, Miss Kathy says, is it possible to be woke and work with a narcissist? I'm so sorry, I'm laughing because the woke, I love the word woke. Get woke. Right? Okay. Is it possible to be woke and work with a narcissist and not fall into the trap? Woo. Yes, always, because I hold the space of anything is possible. It's definitely going to depend on the level of narcissistic behavior and the relationship, right? I think anything is possible, but as the one receiving whatever narcissistic energy is coming towards you, you have to ask yourself, is this worth it? Because think about it, the amount of energy you're going to need to be on, how much are you going to be unconsciously guarding? Like, is it worth it? Is it worth it? So yes, it's possible. It's possible to stay in relationships with narcissists. Not all narcissists are big, bad, scary wolves in the forest. No offense, lovely. But it is, do you want that? Is this your ideal situation? And some narcissists, like, there's varying degrees of behavior. And so you have to ask yourself, is it worth the energy to put it into? Because I can't answer that for you. And that's for everyone, regardless if they're a narcissist or not. Going back to Jen's question, if they're toxic, how much is it worth to you to remain in that situation? And can you do it? Is it worth it? Like, is the outcome worth the input? And we all have to ask ourselves those questions. So I hope that supports you. Lisa, hi, hun. How can I know if my health issues are due to chakra issues or not? Well, I have a theory that all health issues go back to chakra issues, because for me, the way the chakra system communicates with me is there will be a moment when we are out of alignment, when a chakra goes, did you mean to do that? Like, hey, that's not okay. That's not cool. And it tries to get your attention. And it's slight at first, right? It's just a baby squeeze of like, hey, you didn't want to do that, did you? Because that doesn't feel so good. We are not trained or supported in the teachings of being able to catch that chakra at that time. And so what inevitably happens is we ignore it, or we put it away, or we just don't notice it. And then it grabs again, but a little bit louder. And then again and again and again and again and again, right? So when you have a breakdown in the body, it's because that chakra has been alarming you for so long that it starts to actually break down. And once it starts breaking down, it means the chakra has been trying to get your attention for a really long time. Doesn't mean it can't be healed. Doesn't mean that it won't, be supported to go back to its natural state. It just depends on how long it's been alarming you. It may not ever go back 100%, but it can be supported. So I would say, like, do some research on chakras. Find out where, obviously, where your misalignment is. Then go to that area in the chakra. And what does that chakra rule over? And where are you doing it or not doing it? Like, where are you harming yourself or not doing what is in alignment with you? And get that back in alignment. My throat is the one that gets my attention the fastest. When I say something I didn't mean, or I didn't say something I wanted, it goes, that's not okay. And it gets a little like grabby, scratchy, froggy. If I don't listen to it and I don't put it back in alignment, in other words, I go back and correct what I didn't mean to say by apologizing or cleaning it up, or if I don't say the thing I meant, it'll keep getting my attention. So that's my theory around that. That's all I gotta say about that. Christy, hey Christy, self-sabotage, woohoo, one of my faves, really exploring why I do this. The "you can do this" mantra I say to myself gets weaker, gotcha. Any tips on staying with it? My "it" is healthy eating and making healthy choices. Okay, fair enough, right? I would put this "you can do this" in kind of the, so I know you, so I'm going to give it to you. Okay. This is right here. Love, got it. Right. It's bullshit. That's a bullshit affirmation. And it falls under the heading of the fluffy bunny stuff that we like to do to make our life positive. It doesn't work. That's the stuff that we like to focus on. It's called the spiritual bypassing. And in fact, I'm remembering, I think we talked, like, wasn't there like a group conversation at the gallery when we went to Dallas? That was July, right? Yeah, that was July. My time is flying. I think we talked about spiritual bypassing. So for everyone, right? So there's this thing that we like doing when we want to be better people, and XYZ, like insert whatever that means for you. When you're in a spiritual movement and you kind of practice positivity or practice like focused intent and all of that, it's spiritual bypassing to some degree, because we are told that if we just stay positive, everything's going to turn out okay. And if we just say the cheerleader, if we just keep going, or if I say my affirmations every day, if I do my vision board every month, like, we are told that this is how it works, that if we just stick with it, it's going to be okay. Now, yes, please be positive. I'm not saying like, let it all go and just be like, fuck this, I'm not doing it anymore, right? Like, be positive, support yourself, love yourself, nurture yourself. But there's something underneath the spiritual fluffy stuff. There's something else going on. Where is the sabotage living? Where are you within yourself in believing that the saboteur has more power? Like, there's a lot of shadow work in there, right? It's being willing to ask what's underneath it. Does that make sense? This is what we think the problem is, but this is really what the problem is. And typically there's a third one. There's, well, if I'm trying to stay positive, I'm trying to be here, but there's something else going on. And then usually underneath that is the wound. And that's the shadow work portion of the deal. If being positive isn't working, it means something else is going on, right? Or we would have already succeeded in the positivity. So yes, of course, please, sweetheart, stay positive, know that you've got this, stay diligent, stay on it, don't give up, but get deeper and find out what's really going on. Ask the bigger questions. What am I afraid of if I actually succeed? What am I resistant to? What am I not wanting to see? Like, there are other questions to ask that takes you into the nutrition of your soul, of your space, of what you're afraid of and what you're resisting. And for me, that works so much better than just trying to do affirmations on the surface. So please respond to me and let me know how that sits with you, because that's the crux of it, right? If what we're doing is not working, there's something else, something that may not even be associated with eating healthy or your body image or your self-image. Like, it might be something else, and then there might be something else. And if you want support with that, let me know. Bye, Miss Cindy. Love you. Hey, Shiloh. How's high school? Hey, Christy. Oh, good. Yeah, Christy says yes. I thought you were a different Christy. Sorry. Good. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. She says, oof, got it. Yeah, it's the muckety muck, right? And that's, I think you guys know by now that you're not going to get the woo-woo fluffy stuff from me, because it doesn't work all the time. We're richer than that. We're deeper than that. We're more than that. Come on. This is cotton candy. This is the empty calorie space. If we're just always working, going back to the comment of sometimes it's okay to just stop and pause. But if we're in our mind of, I've got to do the next class, I've got to read the next book, I've got to do the next thing, and then I'll be spiritual. That's spiritual bypassing. It means we're too afraid to be still to get the real answers, because we think if we just keep moving, we won't have to work in that muckety muck part, right? We're afraid of what's in there. That's why people avoid the shadow work, because they're afraid of what's really in there. But here I am telling you, that's where the answer is. Like, that's where the answer is. And there are people in the world that can help you with that. People like me, coaches, shadow workers, teachers, healers. They can walk you into those shadowy parts. Because once you get the answer, it's done. Once you get the message, once you get why it's out of alignment and why it's wounded and why it's still there, it's done. So it is a calling forth of being brave enough to go in and seeing what it is. And then you're done. And then you're on to the next one, right? Because we are never-ending balls of fucked upness. We just are. Miss Haley says, what about learning to trust your instincts? I notice I ignore my gut because it scares me, but later I realize I should have trusted it. I suppose, how do I trust myself and what I feel? Well, sometimes it's just doing it. I feel like where you are is you're aware that it's happening. You're aware that when you have an instinct, it's probably a good guess that you're correct. So again, like, okay, trust it. That's the surface. You should just trust it, and you should see how that goes for you, because sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong. What are you really afraid of not getting it right? Like, what's really underneath it? What are you really afraid of? Are you afraid of judgment? Are you afraid of being wrong? Are you afraid of hurting people? Like, what are you really afraid of? And then what's underneath that? Trust is a relationship that starts with self. Healing the trust with self. How many times have we not listened? How many times did we listen but maybe got it wrong? How many times did we betray ourselves by not listening and then getting hurt? Like, there's a lot of trust relationship building in there with self. So I would literally say, just start trusting and see how it feels. Like, do it. Do it. Like, sometimes you just have to do it. Invoke your Nike angels and just do it. Christy says, figuring out something else is the hard work. Figuring out the something else is the hard work. Yeah, it is hard work. And it's not hard like it takes forever. It's hard because we have blinders. That's why it's hard for us to do our own shadow work. I have my own coaches. I can't do it all. You can't see everything. You only see from your limited perspective. You only see from your own experiences. I'm getting tongue-tied. Let me ground. Everyone take a breath. Yeah, we can't see everything. So that's what makes it hard, is we think that we have to do it alone and we can't see it all. So it's hard. It's difficult. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be that hard. Shadow work is actually very beautiful and delicate and gentle and lovely when you have someone in there as your guide. It doesn't have to be hard. Shiloh says, high school's okay, it's just stressful. Yeah, I do not envy you. I am not a fan of high school. What soul work do you usually do? Soul chakra, Lisa is asking. I don't know what you mean by soul work, because I work a lot. I'm always working. So if you wouldn't mind just expanding a little bit, and we're probably, this will be our last question, because we are coming up on the hour and I've had so much fun with you. So I'll let, there's a delay. So Lisa, expand on that for me, what you mean by soul chakra work. My chakra work is different from me because I actually go in and talk with them. I don't follow a tradition. In the very beginning, I was super curious about chakras, and so I read everything I could get my hands on, all the books, all the ancient ones, all the modern ones. Like, I was like just starving for information. But because I read so many, I noticed indiscrepancies in the information. Some said they should all spin clockwise, and some, no, they alternate clockwise, counterclockwise. They're all the same size. No, they're all different sizes. And like, I got very frustrated. I got very tired of trying to figure it out through other people's perceptions and their take. I started going in and asking them, what are you? What are you about? How do you need to be supported? And that actually kicked off a relationship for me that was super different. So I don't care how big they should be or which way they should spin, because remember, we opened up the call with, it's none of my business. I look at it like that. I look at it like, well, they have a wisdom unto themselves. Who am I to say they should spin a certain direction? Wouldn't I like to just trust that they know how to do this? I don't need to micromanage that. I don't know everything. So why would I involve myself to tell them where to plant their plants? I'm just going to go ahead and honor them, nurture them, love them, listen to them, and try my best to give them what they need to feel nourished, and then they will autocorrect. And so she follows up with, what services do you offer to clients? Oh, gotcha. I've been told I need to work on my solar plexus. Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure if you meant my own personal soul work. So around this conversation, what I would say to you is, I do one-on-one coaching with people where we, like, I've been sprinkling it in. So this is like a perfect little segue in here, is we don't always see everything. We don't know everything. We don't have all the answers for sure. We're not required to, first of all, give yourself a break. But then we also don't see everything on ourselves because of our blind spots. We are super good, awesome, amazing, efficient beings in survival. So we will lock things away all the time on purpose in order to press on and survive. We're so good at it that we have hidden them and we can't see them. Those are our blind spots. So the coaching that I do goes in with you, and we uncover what you don't see. And I walk you through how to heal that, because there's also, the reason we have hidden them is because they're super tender and we're afraid. Their wounds, we have been harmed in some way, shape, or form. And in order to press on, we hide them away. We tuck them in little boxes and we store them in these little catacombs in our bodies, and we tuck them away. And we spackle over them and we're like, good, that's done. That's buried and gone. It's just that it's not buried and gone. They are wanting to come back up. They are wanting healing. They are wanting to come back into the light, to be released, right? We are holding these things prisoner. because we're too afraid to look at them. So to answer your question, I would recommend the one-on-one coaching. It would be tailor-made for you because you have your own goals, you have your own issues and worries and fears, and then we have things that you can practice to get you where you wanted to be. So what I would recommend, and this goes for anybody, obviously, if you're interested, is go to my calendar. And it is www.calendly, and I'm just going to type it in the room for you because it's a weird word. It's Calendly, I can't freaking spell, .com, Morgan Lynn. Let me make sure that's right. I know, right? Because it sounds like a tongue twister. And so anyway, it's calendly.com/Morgan Lynn. And on that is a deep dive consultation that's free. It's just an opportunity to talk with you and get really clear about what you want and where you feel like you're stuck. And then I offer what I have for you, or we realize I'm not your person and I might know somebody else that's your person. Because that's really all it means, right? Is you have your issues, you have your goals. I may or may not have something for you. And then we know at that point. So you are more than welcome to schedule a consultation for that. Big breath, everybody. So I freaking love you. This was so much fun. I was not looking forward to it. I'm gonna be really honest. I was cranky, my stomach hurt, my moon energies are way the freak off the charts. But just somehow through having this space with you and being able to connect with you, I have recentered, and I'm so grateful for that. Thank you for being here. Thanks for all the amazing questions and the conversations around all that. That's what we're all here for, right? We're here for each other. And I love providing these communities and these gatherings so that we have that safe container for you to be in the curiosity of who you are. So thanks so much for coming. Just to remind you, if you want to keep up on the Empowered Empath and where those workshops are going to be and the details and the times and the cities, I'm going to be posting them up really soon on the empoweredempath.info. And then, of course, on my website, morganlynn.com, you can keep up with things like that as well. And then like this page and then share this video. If you find that there's somebody that would benefit from exit strategies and boundaries and trust and being in alignment, all the yummy things that were perfectly scripted today through the divine connection, then share it with them. Sharing is caring. All right, guys, love you. Have a great month. I'll see you in September, and keep rocking it out because you're doing awesome. Bye.